My family keeps inviting my ex to all our family gatherings and says I'm not a real man if I feel this insecure about not wanting to be around my ex. Posted by you/awkward. After months of intensive therapy, trying to piece my shattered self-esteem back together, I finally found the courage to start dating someone new. During my healing period, my family had already started including my ex in various family gatherings. In my weakened state, still harboring hopes of reconciliation, I reluctantly agreed to her presence. I foolishly thought once I began dating again, they would naturally phase her out of our family events. Today, my world came crashing down when I discovered they've invited her to both Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations. At first, I thought it was some cruel joke, but the reality was far more painful. They genuinely preferred her company over respecting my boundaries. I firmly stated my position, even citing my therapist's professional opinion about how toxic this situation was for my mental health. Their response? Complete indifference. They're utterly enchanted by her, and since she doesn't have much family, they've appointed themselves as her surrogate relatives. My current girlfriend, understandably, is seething with rage at this betrayal. Every single family member, including my own mother and grandmother, the very women who raised me, are telling me to man up and treat my ex as just another friend. The irony of their words cuts deep, echoing the very reason she left me. When pressed about whether they understood she was the one who ended things, their response was even more devastating. They're fully aware, yet somehow twist it to be my fault. Apparently, because she was going through a hard time and I didn't spontaneously offer to help with various tasks around her apartment. I'm in tech, not construction like most of my family. I failed some unspoken test of masculinity. She never actually asked for help, but my family believes a real man should have known better. The situation has become increasingly absurd. My ex seems to relish her position in my family, showing no interest in declining their invitations. She's found a cozy replacement for her own dysfunctional family, while I'm being pushed out of mine. The examples they use to justify their position are almost comical, like the time her sink was leaking, and instead of attempting amateur plumbing, I offered to pay for a professional. Apparently, this made me less of a man in their eyes. Or the incident at a bar where, rather than starting a fight with a drunk harasser, I suggested involving the bouncers or finding a different venue. These moments, according to them, proved I couldn't protect her. Through therapy, I've come to realize we were fundamentally incompatible. She tried to mold me into her ideal version of masculinity, gaslighting me into believing my natural personality was somehow defective. Now, watching my family continue this pattern of emotional manipulation feels like a fresh betrayal every day. They openly pine for my ex while dismissing my new relationship, creating an impossible situation that's slowly poisoning every aspect of my life. Update: the aftermath of standing my ground. In a last-ditch effort to reclaim my dignity and set boundaries, I sent a heartfelt message to my entire family. My words were carefully chosen, laying bare the pain and disrespect I felt at their insistence on including my ex in our holiday celebrations. I drew a line in the sand. They needed to choose between their own flesh and blood or someone who had publicly deemed me inadequate as a man. The response I received shattered what little hope I had left. Like a lone voice in the wilderness, my cousin privately expressed support, but the rest of my family's reaction was swift and merciless. They painted me as the villain in this twisted drama, claiming I was cruel for trying to exclude someone who had nowhere else to go for Thanksgiving. The family I grew up with, the people who were supposed to have my back, had become completely blind to the absurdity of prioritizing my ex's holiday plans over their own son's emotional well-being. My father's response cut particularly deep. He dismissed my pain as childish immaturity, mocking my attempt to set boundaries as making ultimatums like a child. The chorus of agreement from other family members, indicated by a flood of iMessage likes, felt like a public execution of my feelings. Then came my ex's response, dripping with contempt. She seized this opportunity to twist the knife, declaring that my inability to accept this bizarre situation proved exactly why she'd ended our relationship. According to her, my refusal to silently endure this emotional torture was just another example of my failure to handle confrontation. When I desperately pointed out how abnormal it was for her to cling to my family, she smugly replied that it wasn't her fault they preferred her company to mine. The final blow came from my mother, whose words felt like a betrayal of everything a parent should be. She called to tell me that my ex was like a daughter to her and that my resistance was breaking her heart. When I reminded her of how my ex had humiliated me, claiming I wasn't man enough for her, my mother's response was devastating. Your actions are proving her right. Those words echoed in my head like a death knell to our relationship. In a desperate attempt to salvage something from this wreckage, I planned a romantic getaway with my girlfriend, hoping to escape the toxic family dynamics if only for a moment. But yesterday, she asked to meet, and I knew in my gut what was coming. With gentle words that felt like daggers, she explained that she couldn't build a future with someone whose family carried so much drama and dysfunction. My pleas fell on deaf ears. She had made up her mind. Now I sit here, feeling utterly pathetic and defeated. I couldn't protect my boundaries, couldn't keep my girlfriend, couldn't even maintain my dignity in front of my own family. I'll take the trip alone now, a fitting metaphor for where I find myself in life. I don't want advice or sympathy. I just want to disappear into the solitude I never asked for but seems to be my destiny. Two bitter truths have become crystal clear. My family's love is conditional on me accepting their emotional abuse, and I am, as everyone seems eager to remind me, easily pushed around. The holiday season looms ahead like a dark cloud, promising more pain than celebration.